And welcome back to the CSS podcast. This is episode number 101. I'm your host, Dave. The gentleman in the middle is Crowley, and the gentleman on my right, your left, is my son, Sam. Thought we would have a good show today, but the Cincinnati sports team sort of let us down this weekend. Big disappointment here in Cincinnati, and there's a few questions that I will pose to my host and see what we have to offer here. But before we do all of that, gentlemen, how was your week?
No, it was pretty good up until about 1 o'clock.
Should say the last 2 weeks, so we weren't on last week. So yeah.
My last week was great out in Colorado, Air Force Academy, seeing my son. Parents' weekend, saw my first Air Force Academy football game, which was really cool. They won that game. They did not win yesterday. They were pretty putrid on offense yesterday. So from a life standpoint, it was a really good week. From a sports standpoint, it's been a pretty bad weekend between UC, Bengals, Reds. Air Force was pretty terrible. There's a lot of nothing going on when it comes to my rooting interest. So, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yep. All right, let's get right into the week that was. We're going to jump down to B here to start. FC Cincinnati. Their next game is Columbus. Hell is real next Saturday. Thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. I think Miles Robinson is suspended. I think he's got a yellow card suspension. So, I mean, that's just down as another center back again, basically. So hopefully they can get the two new guys that they signed here in the last couple of weeks kind of up to speed and be comfortable in them playing in center back with, I don't know who third guy will end up being. Probably Yedlin would be my guess. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. Columbus is a really good team. They've been playing really well until yesterday, really. So yeah, I mean, it'll be tough for FCC. They haven't looked too great coming back from Leagues Cup. Acosta hasn't really been all that great, so just have to see. Hopefully, rivalry game everybody will step up, and maybe I'll get the second half of the season turned around.
Yeah, obviously Columbus, you're defending champs, so they're always presenting a challenge. FC Cincy did play well in their last game, the Montreal game last Saturday. I think that was last Saturday. Won 4-1, got the offense going a little bit. Now Montreal is pretty bad, so but at that point you're wanting to win a game no matter what. Who cares who you're playing? So hopefully that at least minimize a little positivity there, turns him around a little bit. Acosta's just hurt. I mean, he's just beat up. So, can they get him right by the end of the season? Because if they don't, then they're not going to go anywhere in the tournament. They rely on him too much. So we'll see. Crew is right behind FC Cincy in the standings. If they win, I think the Crew moved to second. So FC Cincy's got they're 2 points behind. So FC Cincy's got to hold them off, and this game would be a big one. So if they could win this game, just to give them a little bit of distance.
I think if they win, they clinch a playoff spot, I believe. And then I think if they draw or lose, there's still some scenarios where they can still clinch. But yeah, I mean it's a pretty big game for them from that standpoint that you can clinch, you're in, and then maybe you can rest Acosta, a little bit more. Full games rather than have him even playing at all if they decide to go that route.
Yeah. So, they'll need, and I think they got, obviously they got some big games coming up here. I think LAFC's on the schedule in the near future, and they're second in the West. So it's, they got some tough games coming up here, but it's going to be tough going, all the way the rest of the year. They got to get ready for the playoffs, which is not all that far off. And we'll see what happens.
Yep. So hopefully, we can get the Columbus game here, and then just keep it rolling moving forward. So we're going to move forward here with college football, if you want to call it that. You see up big going into the fourth quarter, up by 21 points, 27-6, and then all of a sudden the wheels fell off, and Pittsburgh scored 22 unanswered points. Were you there, Crawley? Were you at that game?
I was there.
All right. So
I was there. Totally.
We've got eyewitness reporting. Twitterverse was all up in arms. How can you blow a lead like that? They're blaming Satterfield. Satterfield's complaining about the refs, the officiating. Fans from Louisville are saying, we could have told you this was going to happen. We're glad that you've got them.
Yeah, they did tell us it was going to happen.
Yes. Yeah. He's known to lose games like in this fashion.
He's known to lose games, period.
Well, yeah, but
Louisville had a winning record against Pitt. They controlled Pitt all the years he was there. I think they only lost one game. Well, now they lost two. He's lost two games, but I looked. Yeah, it was a tale of two halves. First half, they controlled the whole game. They controlled everything. Offensively, they looked really good. Sorsby looked really good. Regardless of the outcome of yesterday, he's still an upgrade over Emory Jones. It's not even close. He actually knows how to play quarterback. They got wide receiver wise. They got a lot of weapons. They rotate them like crazy. Every play there's 2 or 3 new wide receivers. Maybe I feel like they must rotate them too much. Corey Kiner was a monster. He got hit in the backfield about half the time, and he still had positive yardage. I can't say the Bengals running backs did that today. He and a big problem was they didn't use him enough. I think he had 20 rushes. He needed 23, 25, 27 because he was positive yardage every single time. So they got some pieces. I think just watching them for the first time live or whatever. But then the second half everything just went to hell. They couldn't get it. They'd get a first down, and then they would fall into the trap of last year, which was trying to convert a 3rd and short. They last year they could not convert if it was 3rd and 2, you might as well say it was 4th and 2 because they would not convert it. And that happened in the second half. Their first half, I think they were 5 for 7 on 3rd down. Second half, they were 2 for 8 or something on 3rd down. So they just weren't converting 3rd downs. Defense again, I feel like I'm going to say this again in about 20 minutes talking about the Bengals or whatever. The defense could not stop the run in the second half. This little Pitt guy, like 5'7" little dude, was running all over the place.
They couldn't stop the run against Kennesaw State, or who they played? Townsend. Yeah.
So that's a problem. Corleone was back. Without him, they wouldn't even maybe even in the game without him because he actually played pretty well. But he can't be a one man when you're the nose tackle and you're getting like 3 guys blocking you, whatever. But he still made some plays. He couldn't play he was dead tired as that game was going on. You could just see there was a couple of times when he just laid on the ground. They had to call the injury timeout. Somebody come running, the trainers would come right out, and he was just like laying there. He wasn't injured. He was just like, I need a break. So, we'll see what they do after when they're coming back from it. If they go up to Miami, go up to Oxford and lose that game, then I don't know if Satterfield will be allowed back on the bus. Coming back to Clifton. So that's going to be an issue. They need they have to win. They have to win. There's no. I don't care if they win 7-6. It doesn't matter how the game plays out process wise. It's just a matter of getting a win.
Let's hope the Red Hawks can do some. Make it 2 in a row. Keep the victory bell in Oxford. That's what Miami's planning on doing. Because this is the last
Oxford game.
Last Oxford game, and then they're off a year, and then they go to Paul Brown, I believe, to play the very last one. But yeah, it's shaky start for UC, to say the least, especially after jumping out to that lead. And,
Yeah, that was what was crap. So obviously the worst part of it is they played well for 2.5 quarters. I mean, they played as well as they played at any point last year in those 2.5 quarters. I mean, Pitt's a better team than they were last year. Pitt was terrible last year. They got a transfer quarterback from Alabama. Obviously, he's got talent. He never started a game in his life until this year, but he's obviously got talent. So I mean, they're a better team than they were last year, and UC controlled the game until you got late third quarter, and the defense, for whatever reason, they could not stop anything anymore, and the offense stopped converting third downs, and there were some dumb calls, I thought. Again, I mean, first half they threw over the top, UC did, so the Pitt defenders defensive backs were giving them cushion in the second half. And so, but instead of just throwing those little 5-yard outs, which they could have converted all game long, they kept trying to throw 10, 15, 20-yard passes. And, it was playing right into the hands of it. And Sorsby just wasn't accurate in the second half. So I'm not completely out of it, for that, just because I saw what they could do in the first 2.5 quarters against a decent team. I still don't think Pitt's all that good. And they're not going to do anything in the ACC, except I don't think the ACC is not a good conference. So who knows what they'll do in that. But yeah, I mean, the Miami game, then they play Houston, who's another bad Big 12 team. So, these next couple games are going to be, important for the Satterfield world for sure.
Yep. It's going to be rocking and rolling at Yager Stadium next Saturday. So Victory Bell will be there, and we'll see who gets to ring it. It's almost sold out, so if you want to get your tickets, you better hurry. Okay, we'll go to the Reds, and this is just typical Cincinnati Reds this year. Sweep a very good team in the Astros, and then they go on the road and lay 2 eggs. Could have won both of those games Friday, Saturday. Didn't do it. Today they did come out with a victory, so they were 4-2 on the week, which is good I think we'd be happy with that, or we are happy with that, but it's a little too late in the year. It's just this quandary of the Cincinnati Reds playing up to the level of talent of their opponents, but yet they just cannot sustain it. I don't know. Thoughts on Astros / Mets?
Well, we could just play the Astros every series. We'd be a pretty good ball club. I think we're 9-0 the last 9 games, last 3 series we've swept them since 2017. I think since the Astros have gotten good, we just don't lose to them. But
I don't think the Astros have won in Great American Ballpark since they've been in the American League.
Yeah. Did. So I mean, I guess at least we have one team's number. But then to go and I get the Mets were hot, but to lose 2 out of 3 and to really have 2 winnable games that you ended up losing is just, it's a bummer. But we knew it was going to happen. We knew exactly how it was going to play out. They weren't going to go on a run and make the playoffs. They've shown us for 140 games they're 500 team at best, slightly below it. And they're slightly below it right now. That's where they're going to stay. That's probably where they'll end up being next year too, unless they make some big time changes. So, I'm just not too optimistic about the Reds. And at this point, I'm pretty much checked out on them. I kind of even forgot they were playing today. So.
Yeah, I didn't watch 1 inning of the Mets series.
I didn't either.
Nope. The Mets.
I almost switched it. I almost switched it on after
during the
first
game?
Half. Yeah, during the Bengals game, I almost said this. I'm going to switch it, but I didn't. I should have, but I didn't.
Yeah, that's one garbage dumpster for another one. So the Mets are not more talented than the Reds. They're just a better team, though. They're still a better team, so it makes sense that they won 2 out of 3. The Reds had no business beating the Mets in New York. The Mets are fighting for a playoff spot. They've been better than the roster. Their roster is not. They're running Harrison Bader out there every day, and the Reds cut him last year. So that just tells you where where they are. But somehow they're whatever they are, 10 games over 500 or 8 games or whatever, and fighting for the wild card spot. So I think that's indicative of where the Reds are this year, and both from a management and from a player standpoint.
All righty. With that, let's just go with, we'll just make it quick. What do you want to see from the Reds the rest of this September?
I would say just anybody that's any young talent, you try to get them a little bit of playing time. So, Louder, I'm sure he's coming up on innings. The Reds, well, really every major league team, it's not just the Reds. If there's some magic number, I'm sure he's approaching in terms of innings, and he'll still blow his arm out next year, even until he's at, even though he's hit, this magic number that really never matters because everybody still gets hurt. So, but let him pitch as much as needed. Aguiar pitch as much as needed. I don't need to see Will Benson again. I don't need to see, there's a lot of guys on the roster I don't need to see again. But I probably won't really see him again because I won't be watching really much anymore. So, but
I got 2 more I got to see. I got 2 more games.
But yeah, I'd say any young guys. Hell, I'd pull Chase Petty up and let him throw 1 game or something just to see what it feels like to be in the major leagues. Or
but we don't want his clock to start. So
who cares? I mean, it's 6 years once their clock starts. I mean,
but the way the Reds
and he still has options too. So I mean,
but the way the Reds do things, so it's.
Well, but we're making excuses again for the Reds. They shouldn't be like that. So
no.
I mean,
that's
part of why the issue is. We
All right, let's. We might as well just skip this part about.
They had some good hitters and pitchers this week.
Okay,
because of the Astros series.
Right. Do you want to go with that, or?
I think I put hitter for Ty France.
That's who I had.
They got to make a decision on him. I mean, he's played pretty dang well. I mean, him and Espinal have carried the team for the last month.
Espinal played himself onto the team for next year.
So I don't know.
He could be. I mean, he probably won't be an everyday player next year, but
Espinal, not at the start, but he'll play his way into it though.
I mean, he'll be. I mean, he's that.
He's a guy every team needs. He can play any infield position.
Or outfield, apparently.
Well, even he didn't even know what he was doing out there. He even said, "I have no idea what I'm doing out here."
See the ball, catch the ball.
Just the joke the Reds are with this.
Yeah.
So France did a good job, and then I had Louder as my pitcher. So
I agree there too. I think Louder did a good job coming back off that little bumpy start. Threw well against the Astros.
Yeah, he did.
All right. So let's move on. If we have to. Week 1, we all had this as a victory in our preseason predictions. And of course, we should have known better because these are the Bungles. Or as my dad used to say,
they're the Zach Taylor Bengals.
The stinking out of Bengals. And stat, the last 11 games are week 1 and 2.
Week 1 and 2. Yep.
They're 1-10 under Zach Taylor's regime. Probably will be 1-11 because we've got Kansas City next week. And I defense was porous. Can't stop the run. What the heck are we going to do when we see a running quarterback? Because Jacoby Brissett.
What are we going to do when we face a team that actually has a good offensive line?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be ugly. I mean, it was ugly today. Joe Burrow through his yards per attempt was 5.7. That was second worst in the NFL to Justin Fields.
Yeah, he was checked down Charlie.
Yeah. I mean, and why are we running 7-yard in routes when we need 9? 2 times.
That was Andy Dalton years.
Yeah. 2 times. Hey, let's go 7 yards and let's see if we can break a tackle and get a first down. No, other teams run 11 yards, come back to the ball at the 10-yard line, and our defense is playing 13 yards off. I mean,
Right.
I don't know. Something has to.
We're not prepared to come out and start the season. It's like it's like this coaching staff thinks there's a rule against preparing in the offseason. It's like they can't work till training camp starts, so they're behind the 8 ball already.
But even in training camp, they don't hit, they don't tackle.
Don't do anything. They're not prepared. But I'm talking about from a pure game plan standpoint. You knew who the Patriots were. You knew the opponent since April or whatever, and I don't think that they even looked at it until they got into camp, and then they don't do anything in camp. They treat the preseason like I don't even know what you would call it, the freshman game.
Hey, they had one series with their starters the whole with preseason.
Great, and
better.
And then they come out and they treat
same
the
results.
2-3 weeks as the preseason, and then they're like, oh, now we're ready to play, and they start behind the 8 ball every single time. And then when it comes playoff time, they got to go on the road when it matters. I just don't get the mindset that Zach Taylor has when it comes to the start of the season. There's no urgency. There's no want to. They come out flat. Like, I don't know. Watching on TV, just the crowd didn't seem excited. The players didn't seem into it. I don't know. It was just frustrating to watch. And, I mean, I really don't want to say this, but they don't have a dog on the team. Like, they don't have somebody that can get the guys fired up. Like, they're all out there. They're all too pretty, it seems like, to, be glass eaters. Like, we hear about Frank Pollock saying all the time, oh, I need some glass eaters on the offensive line. Well, these guys, they eat toilet paper because they're Charmin soft. Like, they're not out here eating glass. Like, they get
don't
pushed
squeeze
around.
the Charmin.
They get pushed around by arguably one of the worst defensive front sevens in the NFL coming into the year.
Like
that's what
playing the
everybody's
Ravens and the Steelers and stuff too.
And the Browns.
Thing.
Zach Moss, 9 attempts for 44 yards, 4.9.
Was Chase Brown even on the roster today?
3 for 11.
One carry. Like
3 for 11.
I mean, there was guys at the end of the game. I was like, did that guy wait a minute? Did Sheldon Rankins even play?
Yeah.
Did Chase Brown even play? Did Crocodile Hunter even play? I mean, they weren't. I never even saw them. I never even saw them do anything.
That's because they didn't. That's because Burrow, check down Charlie was throwing it 3 yards. I mean, I love Burrow, but
his wrist isn't right. He didn't push the ball downfield once.
Well, I don't know if I think it's the same old thing. He's not comfortable with that offensive line. He hasn't been comfortable since he blew out his knee, and he wants to get rid of that ball within 1.5 seconds. And the only people are open is 2 yards or a 4-yard play. And they need to protect him better so that he can take a chance. And then when he did, and he started throwing the ball to Chase, because Chase wasn't even featured in the first half.
Yeah.
Chase ended up with 6 catches for 62 yards. 28 was his long, and
I don't think he had a catch in the first half.
No, he didn't. And then turnovers killed us, obviously. I mean,
that's been every first game. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago was Chicago, or 3 years ago, like 5 of them, and last year
Pittsburgh was 5. Burrow 5 interceptions,
but Chicago, I think, was one of the years, and that was the same issue. Dallas, I don't know,
but it's just that goes back to preparation. It was on coaching, so I don't know. But
Tanner Hudson's fumble was ridiculous. He looked like he was about to dribble the freaking ball.
Yeah,
like he had the ball like this, like he was about to dribble it, like he thought he was going to get called for a travel or something. Like, I don't know what he was doing. That was ridiculous.
It's almost like he didn't realize the guy was right there behind him.
Yeah. I don't know, because he wasn't even reaching for the goal line. Like I can
he wasn't.
I can almost excuse that if he's diving, reaching for the goal line. But I mean, he just was holding it. Like, oh, look what I found, guys. Like, I don't know. Like, some of the stuff that we do early on in the season, just it's really irritating, because you don't see that at other professional. I mean, I guess I got the Browns game on.
They're getting pummeled too.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I guess 2 things that worry me the most. I mean, we've said it already. I mean, just the offense just looked dreadful. Like, it was just boring. It was just
Vanilla.
Burrow, I'm sorry, Burrow was terrible today. And all these, everybody loves Burrow, and he's the greatest quarterback in the history of the world. He was terrible today. So, I mean, all those and again, maybe it's because of the offensive line, maybe it's because not having Higgins, but hey, Higgins ain't going to be here after this year. So, and he ain't going to play more than about 8 games this year because you're talking about soft in terms of injury stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, so.
And he wants to get paid. He ain't getting paid. He ain't getting number one money.
We're paying Joe Burrow the money to say, no matter who you have out on that offense, I don't care if you have. It doesn't matter. You can have the Finneytown Wildcats offense. Let's not go that
field.
I'm just saying.
They did win. They did win Friday night. So
I know. I'm just saying. You can have whoever you want out there, and you're supposed to lift them up. You're supposed to make everybody around you better. You know, and that did not happen today.
Mahomes does.
It didn't happen a year ago. At the beginning of the year. So that's obviously an issue. Is just what's the issue there with him and why he just looked the way he did. Maybe blame it on coaching, blame it on whatever, but it's still on Burrow's shoulders. He's the quarterback that we're paying $55 million to, and the reason that we think that the Bengals have a chance to make Super Bowl. You take him off the other equation, we're not thinking the Bengals have a chance to make the Super Bowl.
No.
So it's one player that we count on for that, and he did not come through today for whatever reason. And then again, the rush defense was awful. Ramondre Stevenson is a decent back. He's actually one of my fantasy running backs, but he is not 120 yards a game running back.
No,
he didn't have a 100-yard game last year. Period.
No, nobody on the Patriots did. They didn't have a team game over 100.
Can you name one defensive lineman today that did something?
No.
Henderson didn't have a sack.
The
post game, they were like, well, if they rated almost sacks, Hendrickson would have had like 6 of them, whatever.
Well,
he didn't have any. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Almost don't matter.
Right.
Because Brissett got out of the way, like you said about when we have a real running quarterback, it really ain't going to matter. He's just going to take off and be down the field 20 yards down the field. So can you name one defensive lineman that did anything positive today, like really positive, stood out?
No.
Mm-mm.
No, they were missing tackles left and right.
Can you name one person on defense that did anything positive? I mean,
Dax Hill had a breakup. He also missed like 8 tackles.
He missed every single tackle he tried. I mean,
no wonder he was not a safety anymore. Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I didn't hear Cam Taylor-Britt's name called, so I guess he shut his side of the field down. But
the Patriots didn't throw the ball to receivers.
Right. Yeah, they weren't really throwing. So
they're picking on Hill and Geno Stone.
Yeah, he couldn't make a tackle either.
Oh.
So, yeah, I mean, on to Kansas City.
Oh, gosh.
That's gonna be so ugly. It's going to be so ugly.
Yep.
Because, I mean, think of Chris Jones he might have a career day against this offensive line. I mean,
Burrow may have illness.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but Chris Jones is salivating, but Isaiah Pacheco right now is salivating.
Oh,
too.
yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Mahomes
as hard as he runs, I mean, he's like Ramondre Stevenson kind of runner. He's a hard runner, tough to bring down, not all that fast, but he's like one of those traditional, like old school, I'm going to run you over, and you better try to hang on and tackle me.
Will Patrick Mahomes let him, because if they run the ball 30 times, they'll have 250 yards. But will Mahomes kind of put that to the side, put his passing numbers on hold? That's kind of the one saving grace is they kind of can keep Patrick Mahomes in check in the pass game. But, I mean, if the Chiefs just go, we're just going to run the ball, Pat, this is going to be your career worst day throwing it, but we're going to run it and we're going to win 28-7. I mean, that's a very real possibility.
That's the game plan for the Bengals, right? To beat the Bengals is to keep their offense on the sideline. I mean, the Patriots
honestly, they can be out on the field if this is going to be the offense.
Well, that is true. Yes, I mean it is.
But in theory, yeah, it's just to run it and win the time of possession battle,
right?
Like the Patriots did today.
Yeah. All right, so let's go on to. I guess we have to do the players of the game: offense, defense. Who should be benched and cut?
I don't know. I guess Chase, he had the best numbers, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
McPherson made a field goal in extra point. I don't know.
He made the 51-yarder to put him in there.
It's the punter for me, man.
Oh,
An 80-yard punt and a 70-yard punt.
Is he considered offense or defense? The punter.
Well, I would say offense because the offense has the ball. I would go offense. I would say the punter.
Hey, we found our punter. So
yeah. So long, Brad Robbins.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yep.
It's nice knowing you.
I didn't even know who the punter was after the first one. I thought Robbins was hurt. So this is he actually out there, or is this a guy I don't even know who it is? And I looked it up on my phone, and I'm like, Ryan Recco or something.
Rico.
I was like, what the heck?
From BYU, they brought him in at camp. He competed, and he actually got cut. And then Brad Robbins pulled his hamstring or whatever it was, so they brought him back. And guess what?
Why would he? If he's doing that, why is he getting cut? If he's doing that,
because they don't like his short accuracy, like his placement.
Yeah, I guess. But
what do they like about Brad Robbins?
Well,
hang time, baby.
40 yards,
hang time. Hang time. It's 6 second hang time that goes 20 yards. All right, that's what they like about it. They can get underneath there and make a coverage.
He can sink one in a crucial situation.
Right.
So
yeah.
I'd say McPherson and Rico are your
special teams guys. Yes.
They really are. I mean, Robbins might as well just pack his bags.
He's
go
gone
back to wherever he's from because he's gone.
Michigan, tuck your tail, go.
Yep.
Defensive player of the game.
None.
Yeah.
I guess Logan Wilson forced a fumble that they didn't call a fumble, but then reviewed.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that either. I didn't know what was going on.
Because they blew the play dead, but he clearly fumbled it. And then we still recovered it. But because they blew it dead, they couldn't call it clear and obvious. I don't know. We kind of got hosed there a little bit, but we didn't play well enough to complain about that one missed call from the refs. So.
No, that didn't. Yeah, that's. Because the Patriots recovered it anyway.
Right.
Well, no, they didn't. We recovered it, but they blew it dead, so it had to be clear and obvious, or like a clear recovery. Because if you go back and watch the play, the Bengals defensive lineman handed the ref the ball. Like he had the ball, but they didn't call it a fumble. They called him down on the field and not a fumble. So I guess when they reviewed it, they were like, "Oh, it was actually a fumble," but because they blew it dead, there has to be that clear recovery or whatever. I don't know. Weird.
Well, speaking of refs, I know I'm going backwards in what we're talking about, but have you ever seen a delay of game by the defense? That was called in the UC game yesterday against UC. Delay of game by the defense.
Were they
simulating the snap count or something?
Yeah.
I guess the defensive lineman was talking to his chanting or something. Whatever.
That happened in the first. It happened in which it might have been the Florida State.
It was. There was a game earlier this year.
Why is that a rule? That's a dumb rule.
But because you're not supposed to like it was like
why?
They were clapping.
Who cares?
Well,
that's on the quarterback and the center, not the
it's all because they want offense, right? I mean, the offense can do.
I'm saying my point is just dumb rule.
It is.
I mean, the defense should be able to take out a little recording of the quarterback's voice and have it in his little jersey and play it. But who cares? I mean, it's stupid.
Well, the defense should be able to move across the line, at any time because the offense can. The offense can shift. The quarterback can have fluctuation in his voice to draw the defense off sides, but the defense can't do the same thing. Yeah, I agree with you, man.
I just hadn't seen delay game on the defense too often.
Yeah,
so I was like, what do you do? Like once the ref set the ball down, the UC guy went up and kicked it.
That's happened before.
Like you do in soccer and stuff. I mean,
So all right. So let me pose this question for you. There's a let's see. So just thinking about this here. So this is the question: does Cincinnati have the worst coaches in sports? David Bell, Zach Taylor, Scott Satterfield, the Millers. The only one worth a dang is Noonan. I mean, is there any other city that has a worse coaching staff?
I don't know if I'm not lumping the Millers in with Zach Taylor and Satterfield and David Bell.
Wes hasn't done anything. I'm sorry. He hasn't done anything.
He hasn't. No.
You know, and Sean hasn't done a whole lot since he's been back. He's supposed to be the savior.
I mean, they made the tournament his first year.
Yeah.
But I mean, last year they weren't any good. But, yeah, I mean, professionally wise, I mean, I'd say Chicago would probably, if you're a White Sox fan, they'd make their argument, White Sox, Bears, and Bulls. You know, that's pretty rough.
That is pretty rough, yeah. But they got the Blackhawks.
Bears won today.
Yeah, the Bears did win.
They did. Well, no thanks to their offense.
I mean, would you rather have David Bell or what's his name, Craig Counsell?
With the
talking Chicago.
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking more White Sox. You know,
I know,
White
but
Sox fans,
yeah. I'll take Craig Counsell.
Yeah,
I would take Craig Counsell. Yeah, I'd take Ozzie Guillen too. Come on, bring him back. You know, I mean, he would shove a size 10 up somebody's butt out there. But no, that's just a question that I wanted to pose to you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
I'd have to think about that one.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're up. I'm sure we're in the top or the bottom.
Bottom five.
Well,
yeah.
Especially if you throw front offices in there too.
Oh, yeah.
Then we might be number one.
Yeah, then we are.
We might be number one. Yeah.
Because you're talking Castellini's, Browns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The UC's president and athletic director for bringing in Satterfield. All right. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, on to Kansas City, as Belichick says, and we just got to hope that we can go into Arrowhead, and it is Arrowhead, not the other word.
Think the mayor will make another video.
He might. You never know.
He should be impeached if he does. Honestly.
Voted out of office.
You guys now, not me.
I don't know, but yeah. So we'll go into Arrowhead, and we'll get Jim Nance and Tony Romo on the call, and yeehaw.
That's a 4:25 game, right?
Yeah. It's going to be a slobber fest, and we're going to get destroyed.
So we'll either be on at halftime or we'll be on after the game. So for next week, just depends how it's going. All right, we are going to move into trivia. Unless you guys got anything else you want to add for the Bengals.
I'll take the Bengals situation over the Browns because the Browns are still dealing with Deshaun Watson, who's terrible, and they deserve him. So,
and the Browns are losing, Ravens lost. Somehow the worst team in the division won. Steelers. So because of course, like field goals only. But
they win on the road too.
Yeah.
So it's a game that probably most people picked Atlanta to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, the majority of the pundits did. But
it doesn't matter with them. I'm looking right here. Fields 156 yards. They had 70 yards rushing.
They'll be 9-8.
Yeah.
Steelers.
Yep. All right. So trivia, Sam, you had it the last time we were together. Do you remember it?
Yeah, it was. What were the top 10 college football teams in terms of weeks being ranked number one in the AP poll? Okay. And we ended up getting through all 10. I don't have the list in front of me.
All
right.
We
ended up getting it.
Perfect. All right. So I got another top 10 list here for you for this trivia. All-time career leaders. This is NFL. All-time career leaders in passing yards per game. All-time career leaders, passing yards per game. How many can you name in the top 10?
Passing yards per game.
Per game.
In the career, Marino.
Drew Brees.
All right, Brees is second. Marino is not on the list.
Really?
Yeah.
Peyton Manning.
Peyton Manning is seventh.
What about?
It's going to be a lot of more recent guys because they throw the ball so much more. Aaron Rodgers got to be on there.
Yeah.
Rodgers is not. No.
He's not?
No.
Really? Passing yards per game. What about Phillip Rivers?
No.
What are the requirements here, like in terms of games played? Is there a minimum?
I would say.
Or is somebody like Mike White going to be up there because he threw for 400 yards?
No,
it's
or C.J. Stroud with only one season.
Right. No, most of these guys have
They're established.
4 or more years. Yeah.
Dan Fouts.
No.
Mahomes.
Mahomes is number 1. So you got 1, 2,
What about Josh
and
Allen?
7. Josh Allen's not on the list.
Tom Brady.
Brady is on the list at number 9.
Prescott. No, he's probably not on the list.
No, he's not on the list.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say Burrow.
Burrow is on the list at 6.
Okay.
You sure about that after today?
Well, this was before today's game, but this was 270.8 yards.
Let's see.
So you got
What about Favre?
No.
No. Stafford?
Stafford is. He's number 5.
Somebody just.
So you got 1, 2, Mahomes, Breeze, number 5 and 6 and 7. So Stafford, Burrow, Manning, and number 9, Brady. So you're missing 3, 4, 8, and 10.
I mean, it wouldn't be Joe Montana. I don't think he threw that much.
Nope.
Elway?
Nope. Let's see. There is 1 out of the ones remaining. 2 are not playing anymore.
Okay, so the other guys are active.
The other guys are active, yes.
So you're not playing. What about Eli Manning?
No.
No.
Who are the active guys?
Yeah.
Brock Purdy?
Nope. Nope.
I mean, who just flings the ball over the place?
It can't be Tua. Can't be on there.
Nope. Not yet.
Yeah. About Andrew Luck.
You said
Andrew Luck is, yes. He's number 4.
Yeah.
So he's one of the
Herbert?
retirees. Herbert's
Herbert?
number 3. Number 3.
Yeah, that's a good one. Herbert. Yeah.
Oh, so he's 3. Okay.
He's 3, 4. So now you just need 8 and 10.
So 1 active and 1's retired.
Correct. Number 8 is retired and number 10 is active.
Trevor Lawrence?
No. Yeah, and I would have never got either of these 2.
What about Kirk Cousins?
Kirk Cousins is 10.
Oh, there you go. That's a
He's
good one.
10.
He does throw the ball around a lot.
Mhm.
Not today, though.
Nope.
So we have a retired guy. How retired are they?
1 or 2 years gone?
Oh, so still a recent.
Yeah, recent retiree. Yeah.
Who is
Switched teams late in his career.
Rivers?
No.
Yeah, you already said
No.
Rivers.
That's right. I did say Rivers. Yeah.
But he played with the same team that Rivers played with late in his career.
Played with the
The
Colts.
Chargers?
No, the Colts. Late in his career.
Oh, Matty Ice.
Matty Ice.
Oh,
That's
Matt
right.
Ryan.
Matt
Oh,
Ryan. There you go. You got all 10 of them. Good job,
Yeah.
gentlemen.
He was on
That's right.
TV
The Colts
today.
did do
Yeah,
that. That recycled old quarterback for a while.
Yep. Matty Ryan. Matty Ice. All right. There you go. There you have the this week's trivia question. Go ahead and stump your friends next time you get together. All right. We're going to go with our topic of the week here. We're moving on. And it's called Bengals categories. And what we did is we came up with a list of categories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 categories. Most overrated Bengal player, most underrated Bengal player, best Bengal player, worst Bengal player, funniest Bengal player, most annoying, most potential, and most wasted potential. So we're going to see what the guys selected and see if we matched up anywhere. Should be, I think, kind of interesting. Who would like to go first with The most overrated Bengal.
We're most overrated. Okay, so we'll just go down the list we have, right? The order.
Yeah. Just we'll all just go like if you want to start Crawley, then Sam, and then
Okay.
I'll go. So
I went with Peter Warwick.
Most overrated.
Yeah, fourth pick in the draft. Everybody thought he'd go first. He only ended up playing 4 or 5 years. He had a lot of hype, more of a punt returner than a receiver. So that's why
I like that one. I do.
I do like that one. I kind of forgot about him.
Me too. Who'd you go with, Sam?
I mean, I really like that Peter Warwick one. You know, I'm going to change mine to Peter Warwick. I really am, because I completely forgot about him. But that is a good one. That's a really good one.
Well, after mine, you'll come back and tell me who you actually had. So I had Mr. Buckeye himself, Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. He only ended up with like 600 yards for the Bengals in 4 or 5 seasons. Total bust. Could not run the ball like he did at Ohio State.
What round was he drafted? You know,
first, I think.
Oh, was he there? Okay, I didn't remember if he was.
Let me do a quick check. I don't know if he was first or second round, but I would think he would. I have first.
This up. I should. Was that 70? What 76?
76 or 77, something like that. Yeah.
He was their second. I got it right here. He was their second first round pick.
Second first round pick. Yeah.
Of course, you couldn't name the first round pick. Archie Griffin was a stud compared to the first round pick. Billy Brooks, wide receiver out of Oklahoma. Boom.
Yeah. I can name that guy.
You didn't name it until I said that. I'm saying.
No, I would have said Billy Brooks. Yeah, I was taking a drink of water.
He did nothing.
No, he did nothing. All right, he could have been the most overrated player. All right, so who did you have originally, Sam?
Jeremy Hill is who popped to my mind.
Oh, okay.
Second round pick. He had one kind of decent year, but even in that decent year, I didn't think he was real good. And then, of course, he cost us a playoff game, and then he sucked after that.
So, to be fair, I want to somewhere on Bengals verse Twitter world. This is where I got this game from, and there was a poll, and people would chime in on it, and this is the only one that I saw. But the most overrated person that they picked was Ickey Woods.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it.
He got hurt though. His was
kind of
his downfall was his injuries. I tried to think of guys who
because Kajana Carter could have been
right. Same thing with Kajana Carter.
Right. Yeah.
So that's why
Peter's a good one. And yeah. All right. We'll go on to the most underrated. We'll go with you, Sam.
So I mean, I went kind of more like nationally, just because he didn't get recognition that he should have. But I said Geno Atkins. Okay. I know in Bengals land, nobody really underrated him, but nationally, he definitely was.
Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. I was going to do that, but he did get. I mean,
he got some Pro Bowls and stuff, but he didn't get all pros. That
it was all about Aaron Donald and whoever else was at that time.
Yeah, I thought about that, but I went the Kens, Anderson and Riley. I think, look how long it took Ken Riley to get into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
And, third all time in interceptions and couldn't get in the Hall of Fame. And Ken Anderson, still one of the most accurate quarterback passers in the game. And he's nowhere sniffing at the Hall of Fame. So I think he's probably, because if you talk about Bengals quarterbacks, nobody even brings up Anderson, right? It's Boomer, it's Carson, it's Burrow, and they forget about Kenny Anderson.
Well, I would rank him the best of those guys.
Yeah, I would too. That's us, but
no, I'm just saying, I think you talk to Bengal people, they'll say he's the best of those guys you just named. But
I don't know. I bet you some people say Boomer.
I like Boomer better, but that was just because of my age.
Yeah. So. All right, who'd you have as most overrated?
It's actually I don't usually talk good about this guy, but he was the reason I'm saying he's underrated because people don't talk good about him. But he actually was pretty good. He's better than we give him credit for. And it's Andy Dalton. So here's what I went with.
Red Rifle.
Yeah, I went back and looked at, just like check the stats. I mean, first 5 years of his career, he takes the Bengals to the playoffs. I mean, just that alone right there. Yeah. And we focus on the playoffs, which I am as guilty as anybody. Like if you can't win the playoffs, forget it. I don't care, how you did in the regular season. But still, for the Bengals, that's pretty impressive. Getting there, 5 years in a row. He actually holds some records for the Bengals in terms of passing, some passing things. And so I went with him just because I feel like when you say Andy Dalton, even me, when you say Andy Dalton, you're like, oh God, Andy Dalton. Yeah, sure. He was okay kind of thing, but he was better. In reality, he was better than okay.
If he would have never broke his thumb against the Steelers there when he was diving for that first down.
I thought he was I thought it was when he was diving to tackle somebody.
He threw a shuffle pass interception.
That's right. That's right.
Because I remember there was big talk afterwards. Was like they were like talking to quarterback, like guys on the analyst shows, and they were like, "Yeah, quarterback should never tackle anyway.
Right,
just let the guy go."
Yep.
So that's what I went with. But your guys' picks were great. I would very much agree with those. That was who I thought.
Yep. All right. The best is probably unanimous. Anthony Munoz.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just going straight best, yeah, easy.
All right, Charlie. Now we go to you for the worst. This should be fun.
There's a lot more to pick from on this one.
There's a list here.
So I narrowed it down to 2. There was a lot to choose from. I got it.
You have it on the board.
I had to go with Achilles Smith as my winner or my loser, just because he was the worst number 1 pick in Bengal history. I mean, he did nothing, like literally nothing. Close second was Billy Price. I had him as my second worst. So.
Thought maybe you had David Klingler up there as number 3.
Klinger was way better he was terrible, but he was still way better than Achilles Smith.
Yes. Achilles was lost in the.
Klingler would get sacked like 10 times a game. I mean,
yeah.
So
because he was used to the run and shoot.
I went with Achilles was my big loser.
All right, Sam.
Yeah, I'm following Crawley again here. I came down to Achilles Smith, and then I had Fat Randy, but I was like, he's more hated than actually worst. But
right.
But
yeah.
So, that's why I'm going with Achilles.
Is he still kicking? Wasn't he kicking last year for somebody?
He was kicking last year.
I don't know.
And he got hurt.
He might still be around
because I think we played the team that he was with, and he wasn't kicking because he was injured.
He was injured. Yeah, he was on IR.
Roly Poly got injured. I did have Achilles Smith as well. So that's a clean sweep for the best and the worst. Wow. Opposite ends of the spectrum, but they stood out. All right. The funniest. Sam?
I'm up. I'm going to go with Chad. He was entertaining. He was funny. He was quick-witted. And just go with Chad.
That's who I had as well.
Yeah, I didn't know if you were saying anything else, Dave.
No.
I went with Chad as well, but I considered Icky Woods.
Yeah, well, yeah. For later on,
for a very short amount of time.
For the
cold cuts
commercial,
he became famous for the Icky Shuffle
and the cold cuts. That's right.
Being goofy. So
yes,
so it's Chad for sure. But
yep. All right.
Icky had his moments.
All right, so here we go. Whose turn is it? Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your
turn.
For most annoying. Nah, this is good. There was a couple of them. I mean, I actually thought of Chad as the most annoying as well, just because.
Yeah, a lot of people thought he was annoying.
He was pretty annoying, but I had to go with this guy who would just drive me bonkers. And it was Eli Apple. I just had to go. I had to go.
That never even crossed my mind.
Oh my God, he was so annoying when he would open up his mouth and talk to the press,
and then into it too.
Then he would go out and lay a big time road apple. Eli Apple for me was the most annoying. I'm sorry. I just. Oh,
that's funny.
Yes. All right. Who do you have, Crawley?
Not Eli Apple. I did not think it. I went with Pac-Man. So he just annoyed me. He was a big part of why they lost that Steelers game. I mean, Sam, you mentioned Jeremy Hill, but Pac-Man had his moment in there too to why they lost that game. And he's just annoying as how terrible he was. Just the stuff he would do and say, and that played into it for me. I was just tired of hearing about him off the field and just the stupid stuff that he would do, and way over. He could have been overrated. He could have been on my most overrated list too. Mm-hmm. So for his play on the field, because he let all the nonsense get in the way of how talented he was.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. I mean, there's a theme here. It seems to be defensive backs, because I'm going with Drake Kirkpatrick, because it seemed like that dude was good for a pass interference every single game, and at least 30, motioning incompletes when he had nothing to do with the play. So that definitely up there for me.
He was up there on my list too. He was high up on my list. But yeah. All right. Most potential. Crawley, you get to go first. Yep.
I'm got a theme here in terms of the time frame. I'm with Andy Dalton, Pac-Man. So now same. Well, I guess this was before Andy Dalton. Chris Henry. I went with Chris Henry because he was a third-round pick, but he had the talent to be the best receiver in the NFL.
Yep.
And he started, and at times he showed that. And then, of course, things happened, and Chris Henry, passed away, and on and on. So I was trying to think of one like that scenario where he had mass amount of potential and even showed some of it, not just hype, not like some of the other guys where it's just hype. He actually had really good games, and could see that he could have being physically could have been maybe the best receiver in the NFL, and so
yep,
that's it.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily go that route. I was thinking just kind of most potential, and then they kind of lived up to it. So I said AJ Green, just because he was drafted to be kind of the best receiver in the league, and he could honestly have been most underrated too. I could have went that route with him too, just because of the national stuff. But he lived up to his potential.
He was just so quiet.
Yeah.
And he was always compared to
Julio.
Who was the Alabama guy?
Julio Jones.
Julio Jones. Yeah.
Yep. Because they went.
Well, he went before Julio.
Yeah.
He was 4. I think Julio was like 7 or something.
Just like Julio was louder and more media set. Like
he was more
up to the media.
He was more built like Calvin Johnson, and that was right after Calvin Johnson, I think, had retired, or like close to it, or maybe was kind of like at his peak, because he was that big 6'5", like 230 receiver.
Yep. I had, carrying on the theme with wide receivers, I had our boy Uno, Jamar Chase, most potential.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of another one kind of similar to Chris Henry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe like David Pollock, because wasn't he a pretty high draft pick before he got hurt?
Our first pick,
injury, yeah.
And he got injured.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, this is where you could, there's a lot of them that potential, right? If it wasn't for injuries, you just never know. But nobody said Chris Collinsworth. Okay, so he
most potential.
He's making something out of them. All right, Sam, you got the last one. Most wasted potential.
I'm going to go that same class as David Pollock, but his former Georgia teammate, Odell Thurman.
Yep.
I think he was the 2nd-round pick that year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he was.
But he was easily a 1st-round pick if he wasn't, what he was. That ended up becoming wasted potential.
Yep. Yeah. That I had Odell Thurman / Chris Henry. Because like you said, Crawley, everything you said, he had the most potential, but he wasted it because just. And then Odell was just, that first year was unbelievable, but then year 2, it was like CTE or something. I don't know, but don't want to joke about that, but he went.
He fell off the wagon.
He fell off the, came out of the cuckoo clock a little too hard, I guess. All right, Crawley, you wrapping it up? Most wasted potential.
I had two guys. I went with an older and a newer one. So I put Big Daddy as my original pick. I mean, he's a number 1 overall pick,
right?
And what did he do for the Bengals? And so Big Daddy was my first pick, and then I was like, well, and then another person came to mind since it's so recent, Jackson Carman.
Oh,
yeah. Thought you were gonna go John Ross.
He was. I mean,
I don't think he ever really had potential. I think they reached
just the speed.
Yeah. That was a total reach. Yeah.
But look at Kansas City with Xavier Worthy. Man, you know, they came up and got him, ran the fastest.
Yeah, but it's different. John Ross didn't even like playing football.
Well, that is
true.
Yeah. But he's still playing.
He's not on an active roster. Yeah. He got picked up, but I don't think he's on an active roster.
I think he got injured.
And Jackson Carman didn't get picked up by anybody, right?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, John Ross he'll be on somebody's roster till he runs a 4.4 because just that type of speed, somebody will have him around.
Yep. All right. So that was our overall categories. I had Archie Griffin, most overrated, Crawley, Peter Warwick, and Sam Peter Warwick as well. Most underrated, I had the Kens, Anderson and Riley, Andy Dalton for Crawley, and Geno Atkins for Sam. The best and the worst was unanimous, Anthony Munoz and Achilles Smith. The funniest, a clean sweep with Chad Johnson. Most annoying was the cornerback group of Eli Apple, Pac-Man Jones, and Dre Kirkpatrick. Most potential was the wide receiver group, Jamar Chase, Chris Henry, A.J. Green. And the most wasted potential, Sam and I had Odell Thurman. I also had Chris Henry. And then Big Daddy.
I had Big Daddy.
And Jackson Carman for Crawley. All right. That wraps up the show. Next week, we may be doing this with the Reds. Might be a little fun to see the most, these same categories here for the Reds. And, you can find us on YouTube if you want to watch us, or you can listen to us on any of the podcasting platforms. It will release it usually later this evening. So, gentlemen, you got anything for the good of the order before we get out of here?
You want to do predictions for next week? Like official predictions?
Well, we all had them.
We had them winning. I had them winning.
I had them losing.
I had them losing.
Yeah, so you had them winning. All right, what'd you have them at, Sam?
Well, I think I'm going to change it already.
Can't back away now.
No, we got you on record saying you win.
Right, well, then we'll go. They tricked the Chiefs into throwing it around the yard, and they end up winning 17-13.
Ooh, low scoring.
But that's not going to happen.
I want to say it's going to be 31-24 Chiefs.
No, honestly, I'd be happy with that if they can put up 24 points.
The Bengals have a way, usually, of following a horrible performance with at least a decent performance. So I'm still going to say the Chiefs win. But
except for in weeks 1 and 2.
Well,
yeah,
they still played better last year in 2 than 1. So, I'll go Chiefs win 27-17.
All right, there you have it. Check back next week, and hopefully, the Reds continue to stay hot, and some young players come up and play. Hey, they were 4. They won. They were 4-2 this week. That's hot, man. That's hot.
Okay,
that's hot. Hey, it beats 2-4. But and then hopefully the Bengals can get off the schneid, but don't know. So until next week.
UC Miami, FC Cincy, and the crew.
Yep. So it should be a busy week for us here, and hopefully, we can report some happy news next week. All right. Until then, for everybody, take care.
See you.
Take care, everyone.